What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Boogies Beatdown podcast, the highly anticipated podcast that everyone's been waiting for. We are live and direct, like I told you it was going to happen this year. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? We are live and direct in the studio. Hey, this has been going on a long time. It's been 3 months putting this thing together. I'm finally glad that it's over. It's been a little stressful, but we are live and direct. But before we get started, everybody give yourself a round of applause. Yeah, man. We here. We live and direct, man. Shit. So let's get started and let's talk about how this thing came together. So I've been wanting to do a podcast for about 2 years now. I think it's been about 2 years since it came to my mind to do a podcast because I've seen a lot of podcasts out here. And what I've noticed is that it's a lot of hatred, a lot of beef going on and stuff like that. And I just wanted to focus on something different with this podcast. Unity, bringing people together, connecting people who otherwise don't have an outlet to get in contact with someone that otherwise they think maybe would be out of their realm to get in contact with. Meaning, say we have a rapper that wants to connect with someone in New York that they don't know that I have contact with, or I might have their phone number. Let's bring them on the podcast. Let's connect through the podcast, and that way it's not awkward for a person to reach out with another person. So that's one of the things and the reasons why I created this podcast, because I do know a lot of people. I've been a DJ for 22 years, so I do have a big Rolodex of people in there. I've been a soldier for 22 years, and I know a lot of people just throughout the military. Some of them are lawyers now, some of them are doctors, dentists, the health officials. So I want to use this podcast to kind of unite people, connect people, and so that's what this podcast is based on. It's not based on hate or dogging out people or shit like that. Now, we're going to bring people together. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get this podcast started, and I wanted to do it this year. At this time in my life, this is what I want to do. And so I appreciate everybody that's already hit that like and subscribe button to stay current with everything that's going on. Hit the notification bell also so that you know when I upload content and stuff like that. So let me tell you how this came about, first of all, in this first episode. I had the idea, I had a concept, what I wanted to do, Boogie's Beatdown podcast. And like I said, the Beatdown is going to be a list of things. It's a series of things. The Beatdown podcast, I'm going to have special guests in here. I'm going to have giveaways in here. I know a lot of people throughout my 20 years of both military and DJing, so I want to bring artists in here, influencers in here. When an artist comes in, he's going to do the podcast itself. And then after the podcast, I have the studio set up here on the other side. And they'll come in here, and if it's a DJ, he'll do a DJ set afterwards. Both of us will. If it's an artist, like if they have a guitar, they'll perform right here in the studio. So it's going to be a podcast. And after that, we're going to give the artist a chance to promote themselves. So I think that's kind of dope. I haven't seen any podcasts do that yet. They're all talking, but I haven't seen like anybody do a live performance after that. So I think that's a different aspect to the podcast. And I think people are going to be readily available to jump on and do some stuff like that. So that's one aspect that we want to bring. We also are doing the Beatdown Barbershop series, where I have a location over here that I'm going to pop up and do live DJ sets inside a barbershop. I'm doing it at Barberos right now over here in Pensacola, so that's dope. Going to set up the Mevo cameras and do the podcast series from there. Also doing this year the Boy Boogie at series, which I'll be popping up at the beach, at the boardwalks, different spots, just with my controller, doing some scenes around Pensacola and stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of content going on this year. I'm going to use the podcast to also promote the Shorts channel. So if you guys haven't tuned into the Shorts channel, tune into the Shorts channel, and that'll bring everything in fruition and make everything a full circle, leading all things back to the podcast itself. So The second part of getting this podcast started was I reached out to some friends of mine to help me with music introductions, and one of those is the legendary producer 40 Ounce Productions. So you heard the intro. That was 40 Ounce Productions out of South Carolina. Huge producer in the hip hop community. He's been doing it for years. So I reached out to him. Reached out to Raw Wattage, another super intelligent and creative lyricist. We're not going to call him a rapper. We're going to call him a lyricist. He's also the co-host on the podcast itself. So reached out to him. I told him I needed some vocals done on the intro and the outro. So right now I played just the instrumental version this morning. He's working on the vocals for the intro and the outro right now. So I'm super excited about that. I also had 40 do me a loop to play during the segment when I'm playing. Let me turn this on. Yeah, so this is the background music that I'm going to have playing. Once again, shout out to 40 Ounce Productions, man. This guy, shit, I can't even tell you. Like, I sat in the studio with him up there. Listen to this. So this is just some music that he made me just to have in the background when the guests are on, just to keep it jiggy a little bit, you know, because I'm a big hip hop fan. So we'll just leave this on while we're doing our thing this morning. So yeah, so I reached out to those two guys to help me. Reached out to some artists and asked them would they be interested in coming onto the program themselves. And I wasn't surprised that the people were saying yes, but I was surprised at the amount of people that were willing to come on, considering the status that they have. I have some heavyweights that are coming through the podcast, so I'm excited about that. People were like, yeah, I'll clear my schedule out to come down and do your podcast, Boogie, because you've always been a real one. So in that aspect of life, just seeing as where you're at and if you've made it, listen, I'm already rich. Like whenever people say that they'll come through and support your vision, you're already rich when you do it like that. It's not always about money. So a couple questions that I think that all people want to know when you created a podcast or what you plan on bringing is the first thing I think they want to know is why you created a podcast. I created it, like I said, to bring like-minded individuals, creators, and just people looking to connect. That's why I created a podcast. I want to connect people that need help maneuvering through life, basically. If you're an artist and you're struggling, I know somewhere to get you a lane where you can connect. If you're on tour and you're trying to link up with this person in this city, I know people in every city that I can connect you with. So that's what it is. All right. So who is the podcast for? I think the podcast is for everyone, not children, because this podcast is 420 friendly. There will be drinking and cursing on here, so I don't think that, your child needs to be listening to this. My children they're 18 and 16, so if they want to listen, they already pretty much are intelligent enough to know what they need to listen to and what they don't. So they're still children at the end of the day, but we're not saying anything too vulgar or too nasty on here anyway. You might hear shit, fuck, something like that, but hey, they hear that in their own house as it is anyway. So the host of the podcast, you already know who it is, the boy Boogie. Military veteran, 22 years, and numerous deployments. I will talk about that during the podcast because, to be honest, DJing in the military saved my life. So that's for a future podcast. I will talk about that. But yeah, military veteran, 22 years. Salute to all my veterans, all my soldiers that are still on active duty right now, fighting the fight. It's a tough one. It's a difficult one. Like I said, I've done it. I've been deployed for 22 months away from my family the first time, 19 months the second time, 16 months the third time, 18 months the fourth time. So I've been through deployments, Iraq, Afghanistan, Bosnia, Kosovo, and 3 more that I could not say because of the unit I was deployed with. So I've been through it in the suck. Certain things I'm willing to talk about on this podcast when guests come. Certain things I'm not willing to talk about. Yes, I have taken lives at the direction of the government. Went to therapy. I feel okay about talking about some things that happened while deployed, but certain things I think, like I said, are off limits because it does bring up baggage that's left on me. So I will navigate that carefully when it comes to that. How often will the episodes be released? I'm trying to shoot for at least 1 or 2 episodes a week. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to navigate through everyday structure, meaning news, current events, stuff like that. I don't know if I want to take the podcast in that direction. I'm trying to strive for quality over quantity, but I think that if you're going to be in this podcast space, you do need to keep up with what's going on. I just don't want it to be like oversaturated with bullshit. So I'm trying to stick with quality over quantity. I hope you all can understand that. The launch date is today. This is the first official podcast. So yeah, I'm super excited about this, especially knowing the guests that I have coming in. This episode right here is just the introduction episode. So I wanted to get on here this morning, give you all a live update and let you know that this shit is up and running. The Boogies Beatdown podcast is in full effect. Like I said, we have an all-star lineup of guests coming in. I think I have 8 so far. I'm trying to do the guest every other month. So we got people flying in from California. We got people flying in from New York. We got people flying in from Cali. That is California, but we got people flying in from everywhere, man. South Florida, Jersey, New York, Boston. So I just don't want to put the guest out in case one of them back out. But when the guests come in, you're gonna be like, "Yo, I didn't even know your strings reached that high." But yeah, I've been around for a minute, so I'm a humble guy. You know, I don't ever talk my shit, but maybe it's that time in my life when I need to just give everybody their flowers and take my flowers too. Because you don't know who Boogie is, because I haven't been in the States for 20 years, that doesn't mean that I haven't been doing my thing. So big shout out to everyone that's supported me so far. I think we're at 1,300 subscribers on YouTube already without only putting out a couple music videos. And we are over, I think, 5,000 on Instagram. So we're going to keep building this thing slowly but surely. But I just wanted to get on here and blast you all off with the first episode of the Boogies Beatdown podcast, letting you know what to expect. Uploads should be every Friday. I think that's the best day to do the uploads. I have already had my first in-studio guest, and it was a bomb-ass podcast. We shot it yesterday. It won't be out for 2 weeks. There will be an astronomical amount of clips coming off of there because the guys that came in here, they were super fired up yesterday. So, yeah, I've already shot this, and I have 2 more in the bag. But we're just going to keep it going. I'm super excited. Like I said, I'm not going to hold you all on here for much more than that. I wanted to just do a quick 15 minutes so that we'll have an algorithm up of the Boogies Beatdown podcast already. This is going to get shot out. And before I go, I just want to say one thing to everybody that bothers me. So the Boogies Beatdown at the end, I got to give you my beatdown of the day. And the beatdown of the day is to all my celebrities out there in Hollywood that think they're being cool and they're saluting with the left hand. Cut that shit out, please. Veterans don't appreciate that. I know you all think you're being cool, but you're saying like, we support the veterans. Stop saluting with your fucking left hand if you support the veterans. We only salute with the right hand. So educate yourself. It's all right to be cool, but salute with the right hand when you're trying to show us some respect. With that being said, it's the boy Boogie. It's the end of the podcast. And I just want to tell you all that I appreciate you all for tuning in if you stayed the whole time. And once again, shout out to 40 Ounce Productions for the dope intros, the outros, my music on my loops. Listen to this shit, yo. Listen. Look up 40 Ounce Productions, bro. He on one. I can't wait to hear Raw Waters put his vocals on this shit and really set it off. But we ride it with the intros. Yo.